1250 ESPN San Antonio for everything Cowboys. From Dallas Cowboys Training Camp, brought to you by Jason Thompson, the Thompson Law Firm, and by Dennis Jewelry Company.
ESPN San Antonio. You were a great offensive line for the Cowboys. When you look at this offensive line, how bad they were last year, do you think that there's a decent chance they're going to be better this year?
You know what? They're missing Bertado, Livings, and the backup Ronald Leary. These three guys are supposed to be competing to try to get this line solid, get it as one unit. I mean, we drafted a kid out of Wisconsin. I mean, what is his name?
Travis Frederick.
Yeah, I mean, until he does something, I'll learn his name. That is our problem. I mean, then we got a right tackle battle where Parnell is not there, though. So Doug Free is winning it because the other kid is hurt. The only thing we got is that our left tackle is Tyron Smith. I mean, you cannot talk playoffs if you cannot have a solid offensive line. You don't have to have, in today's NFL, you don't have to have a great offensive line, but you got to have a solid, above average offensive line where five guys get together, know what each other is doing, and play as a unit and step together, know where the weakness is at so you can cover them up and play to your strengths. But these guys, once again, for the second year in a row, has not started out as a unit together.
Yeah, I mean, offensive lines, you need to have talent, of course, but it's more about the collective unit coming together. As you said, working as one. How do you do that? I mean, is it about just, okay, here's our five from training camp all the way through the season?
No, because you got to put the best five out there, but the guys that have gotten over the last 2 years, Bernardo, Livings, these guys have not lived up to the bill. I mean, they've come in injured. As an offensive lineman, this is how it goes. You come in at the beginning of training camp and you're in your best shape. As the year go on, normally offensive linemen gain weight. So you kind of can play the game, but you kind of work yourself out of shape. Mm-hmm. And so unless these guys are doing something extra, the best time of year is right now. And they're missing that. They're missing it. So somehow, some way, Jason Garrett, Coach Callahan, and Coach Frank Pollock got to pull it together, get these guys going, and get them healthy. Because what I would do personally is just take the guys that are working right now, and if the guy that is missing, who I want to be the starter, not a whole person better, I'll just stay with the guys I got. I mean, because sometimes you have to just come together with the unit you got and work with your quarterback and let it roll.
Nate Newton with us here on the Hardline, 1250 ESPN San Antonio. Jerry said that this is not a make-or-break year for Jason Garrett. Do you believe him? I mean, if the Cowboys don't make the playoffs, do you think Garrett comes back?
Okay, you've changed your defensive coordinator. You've changed your offensive coordinator. You've changed your whole defense. You've changed the special team coach. Who's left? We're not going to change the GM. We're not going to change the owner. We're not going to move the team. Who's left? I mean, who is left? If you had to make a move, who's left? You've just given the quarterback $55 million guarantee.
He's not going anywhere.
So who's left? If this is not a make-and-break year for Jason Garrett, I mean, who's left?
Is that the right call, though, Nate? I mean, you just mentioned it. You've got a new DC. I mean, that takes time to go from a 3-4 to a 4-3. I mean,
right.
You've got new special. So is it fair to say, well, if it doesn't work out this year, even though you've got – the defense learning an entire new scheme. You've got. Is it fair for Jason Garrett to have this be a make or break season for him?
This is his third year. Whether it's fair or not doesn't matter anymore. Like I told people last year, the year before, even the year before when he took over as the interim coach, I was like, you got to give this guy a chance. When his third year come up, a full year, it's time to make some things happen. You got to be over the top. If you don't make the playoffs, you have to be over the top. You have to be so close to people like, you got to get this guy another year. I mean, it was just that close. But if you don't make it, man, it's a change. And I love Jason. I've been for him in his corner, but, I mean, it's the third year, brother. It's playoffs and make something happen, or you got to make a change.
Have you seen something different from this team in terms of the personnel and the culture here than before he took over?
These guys care. You can see that they visibly care when you talk to them. They're more intelligent in the way they handle things. I mean, you look at Dez. He's grown. You look at DeMarco Murray, who's always been good since he's been here, but, I mean, he really wants to make something happen. Tony Romo, he want to make some things happen. And Jason Witten, he's always wanted to make things happen. But now you got Bruce Carter, who's looking at Sean Lee, who's wanting to make things happen. So, the core of your team is ready. But now you just got to stay healthy. Just got to stay healthy. If this team can stay healthy because they have no depth, Sean Lee, who's the backup Mike? Bruce Carter, who's the backup Will? We tried to bring Kyle Wilber in as a defensive lineman. He's back to linebacker. No depth. I mean, we got J.J. Wilcox we drafted this year as a backup safety. We got Will Allen we pull up off the street. Older guy as a backup safety to Church.
Ernie Sims.
Ernie Sims. So you got a bunch of guys that is older who can play, but no young guys who's backing them up. You either got Sean Lee and nobody who's a young guy. You got Bruce Carter and nobody. We don't have in-between guys.
6-time Pro Bowler, 2-time All-Pro selection, Nate Newton joining us right here on the Hardline. Nate, you played for some really good football teams. You won 3 titles, maybe some of the better teams in the NFL's history. What was it like for training camp for you guys? I mean, the attitude, the swagger. I don't want to say do you see any of that here because you guys were known commodities. This is a team just trying to make the playoffs. So.
When you deal with Jerry went out and got an excellent head coach in Jimmy Johnson. And we were not winning. We were basically in the same, no depth. We had Troy Aikman, Michael Irvin, just guys, and Jimmy built to change the culture of how we did things. Back then, coaches controlled the practices. The practices were hard. The league didn't have anything to do with it. Wasn't no sanctions that were going to happen if you practice too much. A cut.
What would Jimmy Johnson have done if they had those?
He probably would have been still a serious coach because he could play well within the rules, but he would have made sure he had the right type of guys. You can have great athletes, but if they don't have the right mindset, you're still spinning your wheels.
Nate, you want to hang out with another segment with us?
Man, I'll roll with you, you great lion.
I'm going to start calling you that.
Nate Newton, 103.3 ESPN, of course, former Dallas Cowboy legend joining us, and we'll be back with Nate coming up in 3 minutes.